Hello, I'm Sue Andersen, grief guide and yoga teacher, dedicated to helping individuals navigate the challenging journey of loss. Welcome to Growth from Grief, where I aim to offer strategies to transition from the depths of grief to the path of healing. Whatever loss you are grappling with, here you'll discover support to ease both the physical and emotional burdens of grief. Together, let's embark on a journey toward strength, peace, and healing. I'm so glad you are here. To this episode of Growth from Grief, I'm your host, Sue Andersen. And if you're new to this podcast, welcome. Thank you for being here. I started this podcast a year ago in June as a way to maybe get the word out to people, as I've been doing through my yoga teaching, my classes, yoga classes, my blog posts, but just get the word out to people that you can grow from grief. You can once again find joy and hope, and know that your grief will stay with you, but it will soften because your grief also is love, right? We're grieving something we lost, and it's not going to go away, but it will soften, and it will allow you to open up. It will allow you to find, as I mentioned, more joy and hope as you work through these physical, mental, and emotional areas of grief. If you're looking for additional resources, you can find them on my website, sueandersonyoga.com. In today's episode, we're going to talk about why restorative yoga can help you heal your grieving heart. So you may be carrying heavy emotions as you're listening to this episode, and I'd like to offer you an invitation to soften and rest. So perhaps instead of listening to this episode in your car or while you're walking, maybe you listen to this episode while you're sitting on your couch or you're lying in bed. An invitation to soften and to rest as you listen. Grief affects our energy. It's a fact. If you have been grieving a loss and it's new, you know perhaps how difficult this is. How you feel like you're exhausted all the time. Or maybe your sleep is constantly disrupted, so you're feeling fatigue. Our nervous system is on high alert, so our energy is sometimes just drained. And we really need to rest, and perhaps it's been difficult to try to do that. I know for myself, I found it hard to just allow myself to rest, because as soon as I was resting, then thoughts came back into my head. I didn't know how to quiet. I didn't know how to quiet my mind. And there were other times where all I felt was exhaustion and just knew I really needed to sleep. So don't feel like you're doing something wrong. Don't feel like you're lazy. You are not doing grief wrong. Grief is exhausting. End of story. That's it. It is exhausting. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. There is no wrong way. There is no right way. It's just your way to grieve. Restorative yoga. Let me talk a little bit about that for those of you who have never tried a restorative yoga class. So restorative yoga is done generally on the floor, on a mat. You could certainly do it on any flat surface. And you're using different kinds of props, bolsters, blankets, pillows, and you're holding a particular posture for generally a good long time. And by good long time, I mean 8 minutes, 10 minutes. You could be there for 20 minutes. It's different from yin yoga, which maybe you've heard of. Yin yoga tends to be seated postures. There are other postures that are not seated. Tends to be seated postures, and you do use props to help you. But the purposes of these two yoga practices are different. Restorative yoga practice is to allow you to feel held. You're not trying to strive. You're not trying to do. You are relaxing into this supported, cushioned environment. In yin yoga, you are doing a little bit of stretching and stressing of the fascia, the muscle fibers, the tendons. So it's a more active type of yoga, although it's also practiced in stillness. Think about restorative yoga as surrendering, right? Just like let your body surrender. It's a great way to help regulate your nervous system. When you're able to have this kind of supported stillness, this helps shift the body from that fight-flight mode to a rest and digest mode, the parasympathetic nervous system. So allowing ourselves to surrender, to be supported in stillness, helps our body release, let go, and rest, which is so, so important. And you might be wondering, okay, that sounds pretty good, but, where's the evidence? Well, there is scientific evidence. Restorative practices reduce stress hormones, lower heart rate, improve your sleep. I think one of the most important benefits here, too, for those grieving, is that when we're held in stillness, we give our heart space time to breathe, to feel, to release. You may just start crying. Yahoo! You've released some of the emotion that's been held so tight in your body, something that we need to do, right? Now, if you go to a restorative yoga class in a yoga studio, different yoga teachers will have sometimes a little bit of a poem and then allow for stillness in a pose. You will have more than one pose. So generally, if a class is 90 minutes, you might do, 5 poses. Some poses are held longer than others because they're deeply restorative. Like, for example, poses where you're lying on your back. Sometimes a child's pose is held a little bit longer. Some teachers have music and they don't talk during the poses. They're there for support. They can help you get more props if you need them. So you'll find that, there's different support systems out there, if you will, right? Gentle music, light music, or poetry, gentle words, reflections. You may also find that in classes online, right? So many practitioners have YouTube videos, there's live classes. So don't feel like you have to go to a yoga studio to experience this practice. You don't. Especially if you're feeling vulnerable, try a class from a reputable yoga teacher online. I'd like to offer you 3 practices that you could just try at home. One is called reclined bound angle pose, or I also think about it as reclined butterfly pose. So you can have yourself on a little bit of an incline if you'd like by just propping up bed pillows. So find yourself, on your couch or on your bed, or if you have a yoga mat, you're on your yoga mat. If you don't have yoga props, you don't need them for this practice. Don't worry about it. Get yourself on a comfortable flat surface. Before sitting down and getting into the pose, grab 3 or 4 pillows, like a couple of bed pillows, a couple of couch, throw pillows, a couple of towels, a couple of blankets, anything that's nice and soft and that you can use to prop yourself up. For this pose, the reclined bound angle or reclined butterfly pose, you can prop yourself up by stacking up those pillows behind you, those bed pillows. And so you're going to lie yourself against those bed pillows, just as if you were, propping yourself up in bed to read. And then you take the soles of your feet and you can put them together and your knees are apart. And you can put a couch throw pillow under each knee so your knees are supported here. You can roll up towels. You want to feel as supported as possible. You can put blankets under your arms. So you're setting yourself up kind of in, this little soft cradle, if you will. So that's a really softening, great pose, heart opening, allowing you to soften. If you like music, again, before you get yourself set up, put on some really soft, gentle, spa kind of music. Another pose that you can try is called legs up the wall. So you can do this by just lying on your rug in your living room. Again, having some kind of cushion underneath you. You can put a blanket on top of you and rest your legs on your couch. Soften into this, supporting something under your head. That's a great pose to take as well. And another pose to take that's very accessible, unless you really have issues with your knees and you're not supposed to be kneeling, you can try a supported child's pose. So taking that same setup with your pillows that were on a little bit of an angle, you can just drape your body over that pillow. Your knees are apart, and maybe you have something behind your knees, like a light blanket. You can have something under your knees. So you're resting your head. This is a nice one to do in bed, I think. Maybe before you fall asleep. Think about having a timer, setting a timer. Maybe start with just 5 minutes and see how this feels to you. Notice your breath, notice sensations without judgment. Just allow it to happen. Soften, and just notice how that feels for you. Perhaps think about integrating these resting practices as part of your healing. Maybe you take 5 minutes a day and you lie down with a pillow under your knees, covering yourself with a blanket. One thing that's so great about these poses is they can be just a gentle container for grief, a great place to cry, to breathe, to rest without expectation. So as I close this episode, I want to remind you that you deserve rest. Grief, it's exhausting. Rest is not an indulgence. It's essential. It's essential for your health. Take even just a moment today to pause and soften. If you're not able to try one of these practices, sit in your chair, relax your shoulders and breathe. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you are a returning listener, thank you for returning and coming back. Please share this podcast with others in your life that can use the support. I wish you rest and stillness as part of your day today. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.